If you're joining us on Facebook or the YouTube, I'm Jim Munchback, and we're about to launch this week's uh, class. This is the Capstone Review. So let me go ahead and get Zoom up and running. If you're joining on Facebook or on the YouTube, you should be hopefully hearing me and seeing me. But Zoom needs to be updated, it looks like, so give me just a minute. For those of you who are waiting in the Zoom room, I apologize. Let me get it up and running. Okay, personal finance, we will get that started. So I've got the Zoom room over there. I'm going to do a sound check. I think I need to check to make sure we've got sound. First, I'm going to do an audio check, test the speaker, test the microphone, testing. Okay, good. It's good on my end. Hopefully it's good on your end. We are live. Let me go ahead and view the waiting room and admit all. Okay, welcome aboard. If you're joining in the Zoom room, sorry for the 2-minute delay. If you would give me, let me know you can hear me. Anyone? Awesome. Thanks. All right, we're going to get started with the workshop, the Capstone Workshop. So I am going to try to make sure I have my technology working. We should have several pages. Let me see if this page works. So I just want you to know that I got a lot of questions this morning, and I'm going to do my best to answer those questions. I'm also going to point you to this video that I posted this in Money Study Group, so you've probably already seen it, but this is the Capstone Review video. And this, the video that's posted in this post and in Money Study Group is from a previous semester. So you'll find that again in Money Study Group. It's also here on the website. But the video is from a previous semester, so don't let that scare you or confuse you, because in each semester we change a few things. They're very small tweaks. In general, all of the essential elements stay the same. So you will receive full credit. If you need more help after this workshop, there's 2 things I'm going to ask you to do. One is to watch that video. It's pretty comprehensive. I wanted to do a comprehensive video and have it pre-edited for today's class, but I only got a few questions until last night, and this morning I got bombarded with some really good questions that I'm going to take some time to answer here while we're together. So those are the 2 things you can do, though. One is to watch that video, and number 2 is if you're working on your assignment, your capstone assignment, I want to really encourage you to get it done and get it turned in. One of the questions I had was, we need to have final grades in by May 16th, I believe. So I'm going to post the capstone assignment today. It's going to have a 2-week due date, but I want to encourage you to get it in sooner, as soon as possible. I think I'm even going to incentivate you with 10 points. It's a 200-point assignment, so 10 points isn't a huge amount, but I want to encourage you, if you have any questions, especially on your capstone assignment after this review, shoot me an email, ask me the questions, watch the video, and then if you shoot me an email, and it needs to be specific, I'm going to go over some questions that I received today, and you'll see that some of them just are not specific enough for me to really give a good answer. So I'm going to be giving you an opportunity to turn your assignment in early. Email me with questions. If I see some things that are really out of whack, I'll try to give you a little direction when I post your grade for your capstone, and I will deduct points if you're missing essential elements in the capstone assignment. However, as always, if you have turned your assignment in early, then you will have the opportunity then to make corrections, updates, and get that corrected. And you will still get the extra 10 points. But you have to turn it in by Friday, this Friday at what time? 3 p.m. The market closes at 3 p.m. So hopefully that helps a little bit. That's not something I usually do. I don't usually give extra points. The capstone is worth 200 points. It's really not a difficult assignment because it's all of the work you've already done throughout the semester. So let's get started. And if you have questions, I've got several more people to admit. Sorry. I will try to continue to admit folks throughout this workshop, unlike the normal situation. Usually when we hit 5 minutes after, I don't admit folks. But today, because it's a workshop and we're including both the 10 a.m. and the 11:30, and because you were so kind in letting me do this from my studio, I want to be as generous as I can be with being flexible. So I see a lot of you are enrolled. You've joined the meeting. So I'm looking at your names, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all the work you've done this semester, and I hope it's been a good semester for you. I hope this course has helped you, but I want to encourage you that it's just a beginning. It's not the end. There's so much to learn in personal finance and financial planning that I hope you'll take advantage of the opportunity to just continue to learn and grow. And to make that even easier, I'm going to mention real quick, missionalmoney.com. Currently, you go to moneystudygroup.com, and that takes you to your course, your online course, which, by the way, is hosted at Thinkific. If you're not familiar with online courses, that's an expensive platform, but it gives you the ability to have pretty fast access. I have had no complaints this semester about the speed and reliability of that website. The only concerns I've heard are from me not posting content in a way that works for you sometimes. So I'll continue to work on that. But Thinkific, where your course is hosted, it's a premium platform, and I hope it solved the problem. Last semester, I got lots of issues with just being very slow. It was a number one complaint. So I had to do a ton of work to change that. Now, I just want to point out, several of you have asked, hey, can we continue to keep our planning portal going? And I want to just address that before I forget. And on the top of the workshop, this is not for students who are like just doing this to get a grade. For those of you who just figured this would be a good class to take to get an easy A, hopefully it was an easy A. There's a lot of work, but it's not difficult to get an A in the course if you do the work. But the students who really want to learn about personal finance and financial planning, those of you who have expressed an interest to continue that, I want to make sure you know how to do that. It's very simple. Just instead of Money Study Group, you're going to go to Missional Money. This is, hopefully you see that. And you see these 3 buttons. Those are the same buttons at the top of the page that you would have in your current platform. So the only difference, I guess, is I'm transitioning the content creation to a podcast platform. So I'll be doing continual weekly, probably sometimes more than once a week, a podcast episode. So if you want to continue to participate I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. So that I know, I want to ask you to subscribe to the podcast. And if you'll leave a 5-star review and just mention that you took the course, I'll do a shout out for you on the podcast. But that's like the transition process, is to know that we do a podcast. And it's going to continue to build on what you've learned about financial planning. It's going to continue to build on the investment strategies that you learned, and it's going to take it to the next level. So it's free. Hopefully it's something, if you're interested in personal finance, you're going to want to do this. And then again, another thing you're going to need to do if you want to continue learning from me about personal finance and financial planning and investment management, if you hit this enroll button, it's just going to take you to a course. It's just a different course. It's called Make Your Money Count instead of Money Study Group, same platform. So you're going to want to enroll in that course, just so that I have the ability to interact with you in the course, and you won't have homework. Well, may have homework, but it won't be required. And currently there are no quizzes, but there will be some quizzes. But again, it's not for your grade. It's for your ability to continue to learn. And so if that's what you're interested in, I wanted you to know that's available. And then again, finally, the third button is update your plan. And that takes you to a very familiar place. And this is where your plan already lives, in the Bayrock Financial Planning portal. It's a premium portal that my company pays for. I use this with all of my clients and their families and my own financial plan, and I'm making it available to you as a student here at the Bauer College of Business. And if you want to continue using that, I'm thrilled to make that resource available to you for as long as you want. But you will need to let me know by, like I said, if you leave a 5-star review or even a 3-star, just leave a review in the podcast and let me know, and that'll be my signal that you'll get a shout out, and you'll be a special partner here in this free online training. And the plan portal will stay the same. I'll do some things on my end to change what you have access to in the plan. So things will change a little bit, and I'll tell you about that in the course. So those are the things you'll need to do if you want to continue to work your plan. So here we go. That's all the business I have. I did mention the due date. I had a student ask the question about, grades are due by the 16th. So I'm not looking at the syllabus at the moment, but if you look at the syllabus, apparently the date for the grading of this assignment is not correct on the syllabus. So make a note to yourself, and I will probably add that to the assignment. I think if you look at the syllabus, it always says don't rely on the dates in the syllabus, but rely on the dates in Blackboard. So I'm going to post today's assignment to Capstone today. It'll have a 2-week due date. You get extra points if you turn it in early, but it's not going to be the same due date as on the syllabus. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions or comments, by the way, I'm looking at the chat and I don't see any questions, but you're welcome and encouraged to post those questions. So before we jump into the questions that I received, I want to just do a quick overview. I told you there were two objectives in this workshop. Number one is my objective is to kind of review and highlight and give you a good overview of what the course is about and how it helps you understand the process of financial planning. We covered a lot of ground, and so today for a few minutes I want to spend a little time doing a review of what we did this semester. And this is being posted to our Facebook page, which is Millionaire Habits on Facebook. And it's also going to Money Study Group, the YouTube page. And that's where I'll grab this video and I'll save it in our playlist. So you should be familiar with that playlist by now. If you're not, you'll want to get familiar with it. that's where this video will be. And the reason I'm saying that is because I will be posting this video occasionally as, I mean, it's being posted right now because it's live. But students who are have taken this course, this is a good review for you. Students who are thinking about taking this course, this is a good review for you. And students who are currently in the course, it's a really good review for you too. So I'm going to do my part of my objective to do this pretty brief review, an overview of the course and the financial planning process. And then I'm jumping right into your questions to help you make sure you get the best results on your capstone assignment as possible. And again, if this isn't sufficient, if you still have questions, do what I suggested. Turn it in early by Friday at 3, and you will have access to some feedback and an opportunity to make corrections. So you should have no excuse for getting full points on this assignment if you have the time to. If you've done the work all semester, it's going to be really easy. If you've got big gaps in your plan, then hopefully you'll see those gaps and be able to fix those so that you don't get penalized on the capstone. So that's it. So I want to start by just talking a little bit about the financial planning process. As you probably remember, I'm a certified financial planner. And when I became a CFP professional, I had to learn a process. It was a little challenging for me because it just seemed overwhelming. And so in the course of learning about financial planning, one of the things I did was I had to come up with a kind of template, okay? A template that included all of the essential elements that I learned in my intense time of becoming a certified financial planner. I'm not the smartest guy on the planet. The CFP exam was probably the most challenging academic, not probably, it was absolutely the most challenging academic thing I've ever done in my life. And my goal was to pass that exam the first time. I had friends, in fact, my financial planner, she had taken it 4 times, that exam, and she passed it the 4th time. And so I had a lot of friends who were CFPs, and they all encouraged me to work really hard in studying and preparing, and it was brutal. I got up at 4:30 in the morning. I studied and studied, and by the time I finished, I didn't feel like I was really all that much more ready to be a financial planner, even though I passed the exam, because there was so much information that what happens is, and I expect you probably know this, a lot of times you get so much information that you can't really distinguish the signal from the noise or the minutia from what matters. And so that's where I was with my new certification as a certified financial planner. I was floundering in trying to put in practice a financial planning process that helped my clients in a way that felt like it was worth doing. And so I wrote a couple of books once I figured this out, once I came up with, in my mind, what seemed like a good template for financial planning. I wrote a couple of books, 3 books, and they all highlight the process. And this is the central idea in the process. I call it the blueprint for financial success. And I use an acronym for financial planning, retirement planning, if you will. And the acronym is FREETIC. And I'm going to go over that because that's what you've been learning this semester, whether you know it or not, is the FREETIC process. Now, if any of you are in sales or as students, you've had to do presentations. Well, when you're in the financial planning profession, if you're an investment advisor or a financial planner, every time you meet with a new client, especially a prospective new client, you have to present your ideas, your recommendations, and to do that in a way that's effective. And just this is true in communication in general. You have to have kind of an outline of your presentation. And it's really helpful if you're a salesperson to have a template that you can use over and over. So that's what FREETIC is. It stands for financial independence, FREETIC is an acronym. So F stands for financial freedom. And that's just another word for retirement planning. But in my mind, when I thought about what matters most, if you ask my wife what's important about money to you, probably the first word she would come up with would be security. If you asked me what's important about money to you, I would say freedom, because freedom to me is what gives me the options to do what I really want to do with my life. And so when I think about a financial plan, um, my schema, my approach, my philosophy is, if I can help you create a plan that gives you options in your life, that helps you be in a position where you can do whatever you really believe is your highest purpose. If I can help you with that, then I feel really good about my work as your financial planner. So that's how I approached my presentation. I asked a lot of questions, including what's important about money to you, and I listened, and I tried to drill down a little bit. So, for example, if you were my wife, Connie, and I asked you what's important about money to you, and she said security, that's a very general answer. So, my response to that answer would be, I'm going to do the Joe Biden thing again, I'm going to whisper. I feel like that's what I'm doing. But what I will do in that meeting with a couple, especially with a couple, they've typically never had these questions asked. So I asked Connie the question, what's important about security to you? And she would give me another answer. And I would just continue to kind of drill down a little bit until I really felt like I knew what matters most for my wife, Connie. And while she says security is, maybe the primary goal of financial planning for her, what really matters to her is to be in a position where she feels like she can provide for her family. We together can provide for our family and make sure that our needs are met, but then be able to do something that's meaningful in it. And she would have a whole lot of color for that scenario. What's meaningful? Family vacations, time together, helping other people. So she has a beautiful set of core values that come out in her answers. And if you ask me again, I would say freedom, and that would be a different kind of progression to a series of core values. But that's what I try to do in a presentation and in a financial plan. It's what I've been trying to do with you this semester, is to help you think about what is your life about, so that you can prepare to do the things you need to do, so that when you get to be the ripe old age of 50, you'll be in a position where you have options that you would not otherwise have if you didn't have a plan. So starts with financial freedom for me. That's what the FREETIC is. The rest of it is just kind of the pieces of the puzzle that have to be dealt with in a comprehensive financial plan. So the R stands for risk management. As you know, I was a State Farm agent for many years. I have a lot of letters after my name. Most of them relate to the insurance industry. Risk management and insurance are an important part of personal finance. And so that's why you did an auto insurance quote, and we spent a little time talking about different types of insurance. But listen, you're going to need to continue your learning about insurance, because it's a big ticket item. And so it's a big ticket item in a financial plan, but it's a big ticket item in your budget as well. And that's why you want to learn as much as you can, as much as you need to learn about insurance and managing risk. Insurance is all about transferring risk to an insurance company, and you pay a premium and they take the risk. But there's a lot more to it. Like, I drive a motorcycle not every day, but most days. If it's a nice day especially, I love to drive my motorcycle. But I'm very selective about where I drive and how I drive, what time I drive. And so I'm very thankful for the express lane that goes from my house to my office at U of H and the technology bridge, because that allows me to drive without traffic, one way, both ways, with no traffic. It's just an awesome thing. So to me, that's risk management. It's cost effective because when you're on a motorcycle, you don't have to pay the toll. So when I say risk management, as a financial planner, I want my clients, I want you as my students to be thinking about not just ways you can spend money to transfer risk, but what are some things you can do to manage risk in your own life in a way that's cost effective. So that's what the R stands for. And then E, two E's, you can take your pick. Education planning, that's funding education for kids, grandkids. It's a pretty important part of a financial plan. Many of you are the beneficiaries of someone who planned to have resources set aside for you to go to college. And and maybe it includes, loans. But all of that falls into the education planning and funding category, part of free tick. The next one is estate planning. It's a very important part of financial planning. It includes having a will and sometimes a trust and setting up your assets so that they're protected. But mostly, estate planning really helps you make choices while you're still alive so that you get to direct your life savings, your assets, when you're gone. And so we really didn't cover any estate planning things this semester, but I wanted you to know it's part of the financial planning process. And if you transition into Make Your Money Count, there's a lot of content that will be there, training that will help you know what to do. Just like we did a lot of tax planning. So that's the next one, free tick. The T is for tax planning. Remember this second law of personal finance, the law of tax advantaged investing. That's a big part of tax planning. And so that's what the T is for. Tax strategies and tax planning is kind of integrated into investment management. Thus, tax advantaged investing is an important topic that you covered last week in your assignment. So then the I is investments. We spent a lot of time working on investment strategies. Again, it's one of the most popular topics in the course, but we only barely scratched the surface with those 4 investment strategies that are specifically designed to help you maximize returns and minimize risk. And when I say specifically designed, those strategies are specifically designed for young people like yourself, for the most part, people who have a long time to invest. So when we go through volatile markets and market corrections and bear markets like we could be doing right now, these are good times for these strategies to create wealth for you. So the 4 investment I think we did 4. We did diversification, asset allocation, dollar cost averaging, and portfolio rebalancing. So we covered diversification as the most basic but really essential investment strategy. Talked about Enron, how that worked for a couple of different people, one who did diversify and one who did not. Next, we talked about asset allocation, which is the single most important determinant of your portfolio's returns. So if you want to get one thing right, you want to get that right. And if you do good asset allocation, you pretty much covered diversification as well. A lot of people get those terms mixed up. Professionals intermix those terms. I think they're 2 different terms, but at any rate, you need to understand the difference. You need to understand both. Diversification just means you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. Asset allocation means you're using different asset classes to create a portfolio, and that is the most important determinant of your portfolio's returns. Number 3 is the most powerful investment strategy that I know of for young people, and it's dollar cost averaging. Told you this story about Farmer Joe and how he bought cows. Hope you'll remember that story, and I hope you will put that strategy into place with your 401k, with the perfect investment, which kind of introduced us to types of accounts. And it's kind of the cornerstone of tax advantaged investing. The perfect investment is your 401k and making sure that you don't miss out on the match that you get from your employer. So that was the third investment strategy, designed to help you maximize returns and minimize risk. And then there was portfolio rebalancing, which we just remember we took a circle, we divided it in, let's say, 4 quadrants. Over time, one of those asset classes grew very big and another one shrunk. Portfolio rebalancing is just taking those profits and selling them off in that one asset class that exploded and got really big, and then investing more of your money in that asset class that shrunk. Because what happens over time in every asset class, while they don't do it at the same time, every asset class goes up and every asset class goes down. So portfolio rebalancing allows you to maximize your returns and minimize your risk by selling off your winners, buying some losers in a systematic way, usually every 6 months. Some people do it quarterly, but at least once a year you want to rebalance your portfolio. So those are simple yet very powerful investment strategies specifically designed for younger people. As you transition into Make Your Money Count, we'll talk about some additional investment strategies that are more for people like me who have saved a lot of money and have a need for a different level of investment management. So that leads us up to cash flow, the C in free tick, and that's budgeting and spending plans and all of the things that you have been working on already this semester. So I'm going to check the chat. No question. I don't see any questions. I see some people need to be admitted. Let me admit them. Okay, if you're just joining us, Charles, I'm sorry. Charles, can you hear me? I see you just got here. Okay, just so you know, I'm letting you in. It's 10:35, and this will be in your playlist on YouTube. So let's get started. So here we go. I am going to jump into the questions. No, this is what are we looking at here? Okay, I'm missing, hold on, I am missing give me just a second. I've got to copy this link and jump into you guys can't see what I'm doing right now, but what I'm doing is adding a page to my tab. I don't know if you guys use tabs. It's kind of new for me, but it's kind of here we go. Give me a second. Sorry about that. I had this all set up, but somehow it left me. So now I'm on my MacBook adding, I'm adding a page here, but see if it works. Yeah, here we go. Sorry about that. If you haven't used tabs before, it's kind of cool the way it works between one device and another device. So I'm using Safari. You may not care, but if a lot of you use Macs, it's kind of a new update, these tabs. So you can see that I've got Capstone Workshop, and when I click on that, I see all these different tabs. I tried to preload them, but apparently that didn't work. So what I've done is taken your questions and I've posted them here. I've tried not to give any real personal information, but your name is in there, and I think that was part of our deal. If you have a question, you gave me permission. So I'm going to go over all of the questions that I received. I've got screenshots, which will help me kind of focus on your question, and thank you very much for sending me the screenshots. It makes it so much easier for me to get a good answer for your question. It makes your question so much better. It's amazing what power you get from screenshots. So I'm looking for Ashley. Ashley had a question. I probably already passed it. Ashley had a question, and I liked her question. I think I thought there we go. So Ashley, you had a couple of good questions, and I wanted to spend a minute just because I just wanted to cover your question. I'm going to cover all these questions, but right now, what I'm going to try to do is got my laptop, not my laptop, I've got my iPad here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into Ashley's plan. And her question is, how do I adjust my asset allocations to better move my retirement needle? So I want to answer that question. And how do I pick and add investments into Bayrock? I only have the IRA. So I'm assuming that Ashley's talking about, let's go look at Ashley's plan. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go right capital. And I'm going to jump into Ashley's plan if we can. And I think hopefully this will help. Come on, let me sign in. It's different on my iPad. Doesn't seem to be. Where's the login? I think I need to go. There we go. Okay, so I'm logging in. It doesn't let me see the login when I have the tabs open. So who knew? Okay, so you should be able to see me logging in. I'm going to go grab Ashley's plan, and I'll jump into a few plans here and review them if this thing will let me in. Come on, right capital. Here we go. So I'm going to go to Ashley. There's Ashley's plan. So let's just jump in and take a look at Ashley's plan. So this is new, the snapshot. You may not have this in your plan, but in the future, students will have this, and it gives me a quick. And if this was authorized in your plan, you would see it too. Those of you who transition over to Make Your Money Count, we will update your plan so you have this snapshot. It's a really cool snapshot. So, well, it doesn't let me expand the page, but okay, give me a second here. Things are different on my iPad. So when I'm on this, let's see if I can do that. I think that'll work. So when I go touch around on this snapshot, it's interactive. So it's not letting me just, I wanted to grab it and show you a few elements in her plan, but it's not going to let me do that so well. So instead of doing that, let me just show you. Ashley's question is, how does she change her asset allocation? So you would think you'd go to investments and you would change it, but you don't really get to see that. You see that Ashley set up a tax-deductible IRA, a tax-free Roth IRA, and a big plastic bucket. So that big plastic bucket is the taxable. So when we go back to the, if I go back to the dashboard, and even though you don't have a dashboard, you should know what is your tax allocation. And you can see that Ashley did this correctly in this week's assignment. It was to basically put money into types of accounts so that she had a taxable, a tax-free, and a tax-deductible. So that's what she's showing here. But the question is, how do I change my asset allocation? And you would think you could go to investments to do that, but it doesn't work that way. So Ashley, the answer to your question is you go to your actual investments. So I just clicked on profile, and you can see there that I go to net worth and it shows all of the investments. So I can click on this investment and I can see these three types of accounts that you set up. So if I go to the big plastic bubble, you see there that it's the asset allocation inside of this investment. It's based on a portfolio, on a model portfolio. So I can click on that and I can select which one of those pre-built portfolio models I want to use. Currently, Ashley, you have preservation. Uh, don't know if you understand what that means. I'm hoping you guys understand what that means. But when we talk about asset allocation, remember, asset allocation is the single most important determinant of your portfolio. And so now that you have these accounts built, a tax-free account, a tax-deferred account, and a taxable account, when you set those accounts up, you're going to have to start deciding how do you want to allocate your assets. And currently you have preservation, which basically is like putting cash under your mattress. It's the most conservative, which means you're going to have no growth in terms of the stock market opportunities that you would have. So that's how you change your asset allocation. However, there's another way to do it. If we go to the retirement analysis, this is where you want to go, and you click on action items, you see that the way you have it set up right now is current allocation. So I am going to click that instead of current allocation, which we know, Ashley, is preservation because that's what you've already, that's what you, how you set it up. So if I hit refresh, preservation, is that going to make any difference? Is that going to move the needle? Is that going to take your probability of success off of 0? No, because that's what you currently have. So instead, let's go to moderate and then hit refresh and see what happens. So all I did was I went to the retirement analysis and I changed your current allocation from preservation to moderate. And if you want to know what that looks like, you're not going to get to see it here, but you could easily go back and change. If you like that, if you liked moderate, you could go back to your investment account and you could pick that model, moderate, and then it would show you the asset allocation. So let me just do that for fun. I'm going to go over to the profile and I'm going to go to your investments, and you can change these back whenever you want, but I'm just going to change from preservation to moderate, and I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to do that in all three of your accounts. So now I'm in your IRA, your Roth IRA. I'm going to go to moderate. So I'm going to click moderate there, and then I'm going to your tax deductible IRA, and I'm going to change that one from preservation to moderate, and I'm going to hit save. Now I'm going to hit save just to be sure. Now I'm going to just jump right back over to the retirement tab, where we will land on the analysis screen, or the analysis tab. And now you see that your current plan shows an 11% probability of success, and it doesn't really do anything if we click moderate, because that's what you have in your portfolio. Your current portfolio is moderate. So now let's go see what happens if we change it to preservation. What do you think is going to happen to your probability of success on your proposed plan? It's going to go to 0 where it was before. So now let's see what happens if we go to growth and I hit refresh. I hit growth. That's all I've done so far. Changes your probability of success to 23% probability of success. So let's see. All right. Now I'm looking at, let's see. You're going to retire. I want to know, this is a question that we will get to in a minute. Should you change your age? And the answer to that is yes. Part of your instructions were to change your age. And here's why. We're making a lot of assumptions in your plan. And one of them is that you have been investing for a while. That's why you have money in a Roth IRA and a 401k. So to make that assumption that you know, those numbers even anywhere close to realistic, we have to pretend that you've been doing it a while. So what I'm going to do, Ashley, is I'm going to change your birthday and your age. So instead of being 21, you're going to be 31. And now I'm going back to retirement. I see probability of success is 16%. Now, what I'm not seeing is how much money you have left over at the end of your plan. So let's see. Let's take a look at your goals. Profile, goals. So what about income? What kind of income do you have? You're making $70,000. Your savings goal is you're saving $400. So this is looking pretty good. Your expenses, monthly, I think I changed your monthly expenses. Maybe not. I think you had 2,500. Do you know, Ashley, are you there? Anyway, I've been playing with your plan because I believe you had a really high probability of success with a lot of extra money. And I think it's because you had $2,500 a month in expenses. Yeah. So you're going to, if you do that, if you guys, this is a question I get a lot, is how do I know I'm using the right expenses? Because the expenses are a huge part of your probability of success here. And the problem is you don't know what your expenses are going to be, but I promise you they're going to be higher than what you're projecting. And so part of your experience this semester was to do some research and try to figure out what would be reasonable expenses. And I know that's not really easy to do. And some of you did a better job than others. But if you have massive amounts of money in your plan, that's why. So here we have $12 million. That's excessive. That's unreasonable. That's just not even in the realm of reality. Okay. Remember, the goal in this course is to teach you how to be a millionaire by the time you're 50. In this case, Ashley's plan would produce an excess of almost $13 million. And that's if we go with growth. If we did, hold on, that's if we went with growth. What if we went with most aggressive? Let's see what happens there. She'll probably be a billionaire if she's most aggressive. $21 million. So I'm going to go back to growth and I'm going to hit refresh. But then I'm also going to go back to, this is what I would encourage you guys to do. Okay, I'm doing a plan review for Ashley right now. And if we were doing a real financial plan, this is what I would be doing. But if I were reviewing your plan for the capstone, this is what I would be doing too. So I'm going to go to profile. I'm going to say expenses. And I know that $2,500 is so I think Ashley's making 70 grand a year with like a 3% increase, annual increase in her income. $2,500 a month is like 30 grand a year in expenses. That means she's got, 40 grand to save. That's not realistic. It's just not, trust me, it's not realistic. So I'm going to say 5,500. That's what I had there before, I believe. So now when I save that, a more realistic level of expenses for Ashley, and then I go to retirement and hit the analysis. Now we have a different probability of success. And I'm wondering why it's not showing the number there. Usually it shows the amount left over. Let me see if I can make that change. Okay, it's loading. Huh. That's weird. I don't know why, Ashley, I'm not getting a number there. But with a 7% probability, you probably don't. It's 0 because you don't have any left over. That's the deal. So I just learned something that I already knew, but I wasn't seeing. So if I go to most aggressive and I hit refresh, now with $5,500 in expenses, there's zero left over. So if I want to change this, what can I do? I can make all kinds of changes here. I can say, Ashley, let's retire later and see what happens. I mean, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to play around with some things. I want you to see what happens if you put 8% into your raw. That's what I just did, and then I hit refresh. And then we get a 39% probability of success. So what if we invest more in your taxable account? Since you're making 70 grand a year, and even in this plan, we're saying that you're spending like 60. And so let's knock your expenses down to 3 grand and see what happens. Now, this should give you some extra. See, that one change gave you $36 million. Now, obviously, if you have this plan, it's going to basically create a tremendous amount of excess. You're retiring at 72, you're saving a ton of money, and you're going to live on, Vienna sausages. That's not a good plan. So I just wanted to show you guys how Ashley's plan was out of whack. Her age wasn't updated. I showed you how to change your asset allocation, where you do that. So we did that. You saw how important asset allocation is to the results in your plan over time. And you see, mostly importantly, about how cash flow, remember cash flow is the C in free tick, you see how cash flow impacts your plan. That's what we're talking about, cash flow, expenses. And so you want to be as accurate as you can, but you don't know how much it's going to cost. I'll tell you this, if we go to profile, and I'll just show you one more thing in expenses. I want to see, actually, that would be a goal. If we go to retirement, monthly expenses, Ashley's got 32, and she used the detailed, which I want all of you to do. Use this detailed, not the simple, because until you start breaking out your categories, you're just shooting in the dark, okay? So remember, this is her retirement expenses. After she retires, we just changed that to 72, Ashley, so you're going to be a little old lady by the time you retire. And in that situation, and we're making this up, I mean, every plan is different in real life. And since you guys are trying to shoot for 20, 30, 40 years from now, it's really hypothetical. But we're trying to get as realistic as possible so you understand how it actually works in real life. in real life. So here's one of the expenses I'm going to tell you is way out of whack for Ashley. So she says that when she retires, and I know I changed it to 72. She had it, I think, at 62. But she has $50 for health and fitness. And so I'm just going to change that to, instead of $50 a month, you think $500 a month for health and fitness for a retired person? It's probably going to be more like $1,500 a month. And, somewhere in there, we've got to have prescription medicine, doctor appointments. So if I change that to $1,500, and we see right here, here's an $5,800 for annual cost for health. So that's like health insurance and doctors and such. So in retirement, health and fitness, that's different. It's a different category, but still, I think it's probably going to be more than what Ashley has. So now I go back to the retirement analysis just to see, what does it look like? Is Ashley going to be able to retire with dignity? And she's still at 33. million in excess. And again, that's because she's not spending any money before she retires. So she's got this huge excess and she's retiring late. So that's not a good, I mean, it's not a realistic plan. And that's why, Ashley, if you sent in your capstone with this amount, I'd be like, hold on, well, what's up? Why do you have so much money? I want you to figure that out. I want, having a 99% probability of success is great, but obviously you can make that probability of success go up just by putting ridiculously unreasonable, unrealistic things in your plan. And that's not what we're trying to do. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me go back to your question and see. Oh no, where did the question go? Something about this tab is not working so well. I've got the review video, but I don't have the questions. So let me go back here and I'm going to add this. I want to go back to the questions. And I thought it'd be good if you could see the questions. So let me just pop those in. Sorry, I'm trying to work my keyboard while I have my iPad in front of me. So, all right, just give me a second here. I'm trying to see if I got everything I need. Okay, there the questions are. Now, if I go in this tabs, I'm thinking they should work more quickly, but here we go. Those are the questions. So sorry about that. Okay, so Raymond, after reviewing Ashley's plan, hopefully you can go into your own plan and figure out an answer to your own question. So Raymond, your question is, by the way, you have $109 million left over in your plan. So clearly there's something wrong. And I appreciate you asking the question about being 10 years older. Imagine if you're actually 20 years old. I don't know what your age is. I didn't go into your plan. But if you're 10 years younger and you have, you added 150 grand in those three accounts, your Roth IRA, your tax deferred IRA, and your taxable account, and you're 20 years old, and it has that much time to grow, it's going to really move the needle. The problem is that's not the truth. It's not anywhere close to reality. So, yes, every plan, every capstone assignment should come in with your birthday changed, just like I changed Ashley's birthday, so that you're actually 10 years older in your plan, so that kind of makes up for the fact that you dumped some fake money into your plan. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully it does, because as you can see, this plan is ridiculous, redunculous. And it's a great question, and that's why we're doing this workshop. But a couple of things here is you're putting 100% contribution in. That means you're putting all of your salary into your 401k. I think is what that looks like. And you have a 12% match. So those numbers, I don't know where you got those. But if you submitted this, I would be like, okay, I got to figure out why do we have, actually, I'm not even going to, if you submitted this capstone and you didn't tell me why you had so much money in the plan, and you didn't even attempt to tell me, you would get deductions. And I wouldn't tell you where the problems are. I would tell you to go back to your plan and do another look. I'm I'm not going to diagnose and review each capstone assignment in the planning portal to answer these questions. So hopefully by now you see some of the things you need to address, Raymond, in your plan to get it kind of close to reality. And then savings, again, you're contributing 100% in your 401k. Maybe that's the same one. I duplicated that. All right. Jonathan's question was pretty simple. The area I need help is figuring out the right amount of money I would use as after retirement expenses without limiting myself too much, but at the same time not run out of money. So Jonathan, all I can tell you is, that's a great question. We all need to figure that out. Every human being has to figure that out. And there's no magic bullet, there's no magic formula. It's a matter of really getting down to tracking your expenses and being accountable with your expenses. That's one of the reasons why we have the ability to link credit cards and link accounts in your financial planning portal. Again, when I'm working with clients as a professional, that becomes a really helpful resource because now we're being accountable in terms of every transaction, every inflow and every outflow without having to do extra accounting work. It just makes it super easy to do. So if you're not using something to track your expenses now, then you're not able to do that. And the same thing is true when you're retired. But that's so far down the road for you, there's really no way you can answer that question. So you're going to have to do the best you can do to come up with a realistic, reasonable set of expenses for yourself. Everybody has to do that in this course, in this capstone. I can't do that for you. I can just kind of help you see that things are going to be way more expensive, and your budget is going to be much higher in terms of expenses than you think it is. I promise you that. Oh, so, okay, Gabriel wanted to know about being penalized. He said his mortgage for a 30-year loan. However, when he applied the debt payment strategies at the very last year, an unrealistic amount is being paid towards the mortgage loan. That may be true. It may not be true, Gabriel. I didn't look at your plan. The answer is you won't be penalized. But it'd be really good if you address it and just say, hey, here's something I saw in my plan that I'm not quite sure about. You don't have to be sure about it. It's just helpful to know that you identified it. But I do believe if we went into your plan and unpacked it and did some scenarios, we'd see that that debt strategy was actually helping you, and it probably improved your plan probability of success. So I'm not seeing anything specific about any issues you have other than that loan. You wanted to know if you'd get a deduction. The answer is no. That'd be great. OB, future dollars. In the retirement analysis section, are we supposed to have future dollars turned on to avoid having an exorbitant amount? Future dollars is not going to change the exorbitant amount. It's just going to give you future dollars instead of present dollars. But the exorbitant amount comes from not having realistic expenses or having unrealistic inputs or income. And part of it could be that you didn't change your age. That will make a big difference. How do I adjust my asset allocations? We showed you that with Ashley's plan. How do I pick and add investments into Bayrock? I only have the IRA. So you saw how to do that as well. You go to Profile. You go to, let me see, let me just show you that one more time. So if you want, I'm back in, I think I'm in Ashley's plan. I go to Profile. I want to add an account. I want to add an investment. And then I get to tell it which type of investment I want to add. Taxable account, that would be the big blue bucket. 401k or retirement plan, or it could be a Roth IRA. So those are the three types of buckets, and that's where you would add it. And don't forget, you also want to go ahead and pop in an asset allocation. Now notice you could do your own here. You could say, I want to do 25%, and I want to do 25%, and I want to do, whoops, did I do that right? So I'm just creating a portfolio with 4 quadrants. I'm going to do government bonds. What else? I think I'll do some emerging markets. So I could do that. I could say save. It didn't work. Something didn't work. 25, 25, fixed income. Anyway, you see how that works. Or instead of customized, you should be able to grab a based on a model portfolio. You see how that works? Apparently it defaults at customized, but that's what I would do, is just pick one of those. Hopefully you understand the difference between conservative, very, very conservative, um, just conservative. I mean, preservation is more conservative than conservative. It's like taking no risk. Balanced, so just as you go down the list until you hit most aggressive, you're saying your asset allocation is more aggressive, which means you're going to have more ups and downs in your account values, which is not a problem if you're young and you're doing dollar cost averaging. It's actually going to benefit you over time. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me go back to the questions. Did I lose the questions? No, here we go. Okay, the questions. So that was, I got Obi's question. Who else? I forgot whose question. That was Gabriel? I'm sorry, I forgot whose question I was answering. But the question was, oh, I'm sorry? It was Obi, right? Yeah, how to pick and add investments into Bayrock. So, did you have a question? Oh, that's Hannah. This is your question, right? Couple of questions. This is Hannah. I missed who I was chatting with on Zoom, but this is Hannah. I had a couple questions regarding my retirement probability after adding in the tax advantaged accounts. So, yeah, this is one where you're going to have to take a look, Hannah, at your expenses and your income, because you have a huge amount left over, and that's not going to work. Um, you have so this is a big part of it, Hannah. You have 307,000 in your 401k, and then you went ahead and added a tax deductible IRA as well, plus a Roth IRA plus 50,000 in the tax bucket. So, I mean, unless you actually, if this is your money, if this is your actual plan, then I would delete the fake accounts and keep the real one. But otherwise, I would delete that 307,000. So the 401k is a tax deductible bucket. So you could just keep the 401k and get rid of the IRA or split the difference. But you have a lot of money in your investments, and I'm assuming that that's $457,000 that you just added. But again, if that's your actual plan, far be it from me. That's just tell me, because you have a huge excess. If I were to go into your plan, I'm sure I would find that you're getting a lot of income. Maybe you didn't change your age, so you're still, very young, and that is going to make that needle move in a radical way. So hopefully that'll help you fix that. And then also, so yeah, if you look at this tax allocation right now, you've got 307. I think it's in a 401k, tax-free Roth IRA, and 100,000 in a taxable bucket. So, not sure. So I'm not in your plan, so I'm just looking at these screenshots. But I would assume that based on this, one of your investment accounts, even though you've named it the way you've named it, if you don't tell the computer which one it is, the computer is going to tell you which one it is. Does that make sense? So you can name it whatever you want. You can name it a tax deductible IRA or a tax free Roth IRA. You named that account, but that doesn't mean that you gave it the right account type. So the proof is in the pudding, and this is going to say, okay, here's how you have your account set up. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, you probably want to take that out. I think that was a mistake. So you can just delete that. That'll make it simple. And good job recognizing that. You got a little more work to do to figure out why it's so high. Maybe it'll fix it if you change your age and reduce that 401k. Okay, young, or I'm not sure how to say your name. So let's see. You have a 3% probability. The current plan has 0, even though you've input all the new information. You're not sure if this is correct. So you want more insight. Let me see if I can see anything here. Yeah, no, I'd have to go into your plan. And hopefully by now, having gone through Ashley's plan and just talked through some of these data cards, you'll be able to go and make some changes. I can tell you this, 1350, it's very low expenses. Your 401k, you're putting 50 grand a year in. I don't know why you have 3%. There's something wrong in your plan. I would look at your loans. I would look at your expenses. Start with your expenses and see. And I'm not talking about um, the expenses that you put here, because those pre-retirement, that's just way too low. You got 4,000 for retirement. So I would jump into your plan if I were you, and I'd look at your income, look at your goals, look at your expenses. Something is clearly, out of whack. And probably asset allocation is another one that could really move the needle for you. And I don't see what you've done here. Doesn't look like you've, in this screenshot, it doesn't look like you've changed your asset allocation. So if you didn't set your asset allocation, this is, by the way, for everyone, if you don't set your asset allocation, it's going to go to all cash, 100% cash, which is even more conservative than preservation, which is more conservative than conservative. So how can I be sure my numbers are good? So this question is just not specific enough for me to give you much answer on, except to say, hopefully this has helped. There's no perfect answer. There's no magic formula for your numbers, but it is your job to try to make them as realistic and reasonable as possible. And that may take you some time to look at your expenses and think about them and even do a little research. But if you end up with over $5 million in your plan, you got some explaining to do. So, if you got 10 million in your plan, for sure, there's something in that plan that's really unrealistic. Unless you tell me what it is and why it's realistic, it's unrealistic. So if there's something I'm missing, it's your job to tell me. But I just want you to look at your plan, review it, understand how these different inputs create the probability of success and the end of plan value that you get in your retirement analysis. So this question had to do with I'm a little confused about my portfolio. Attached as a screenshot. So again, this asset allocation, there's nothing in tax deferred, nothing in tax free. So you need to go back to your investment accounts and you need to do some work there. Yeah, no, it's not correct though. Okay, so this will get you deductions on the capstone. So you need to fix that. How do we know if our total earnings at the end of the plan are reasonable? So, for example, 5 million before tax allocation and 10, yeah, that's a little high, Asa, but hopefully, again, hopefully, if you didn't see the beginning, you'll want to go back and watch the review that I did of Ashley's plan and then do some of that yourself. So you're saying your salary, it looks like you're using a pretty optimistic salary, and hopefully you changed your age as well so that those account values that you put into your plan are not getting a whole 10 years of growth. That makes a huge difference in your plan. So hopefully that helps. Let's see, I've got some more questions. Making a lot of money, expecting to retire a lot. So this question is it's a good question. But I'm not even going to try to answer it because it's not going to help the class with the capstone. But if you want to reach out to me later, I'll be happy to answer that question to the best of my ability. I'm trying many ways to move the. Okay, so let's see what we have here. So yeah, this is just pretty simple. Asset allocation makes a huge difference, and your asset allocation is Looks like it's 100% cash. I can't tell because the whole screenshot. It's other, so I'm not sure what other is. Probably cash. But that's what you need. I would start there. Yes, keep your age 10 years older. That hopefully that's clear by now. Due dates. So this was the question about the due dates. May 16th is when I have to have my stuff turned in. So yeah. All right. Let's see. There's one more question here. Change my age to 91. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. So Jose, I'm not sure. Hopefully I've answered your question, but again, if there's more for any question that you've got, I got a lot of questions this morning. I'm sorry I didn't have time to, really review them in advance, but they just came in this morning. So you have another shot at this. Again, as we wrap up today, and if you have questions, shout them out. I'm going to post this in our playlist so that it's there for you to see. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can leave a comment or question there. But if you have a real question that you want me to address, I might try to do another tutorial next week. If we have questions that are kind of a pattern. If I see a pattern, I'll try to do that. I'm going out of town today to a conference in Denver, so no promises about another tutorial, but I want to make sure I do my part to help answer all of your questions. I really appreciate your questions. Get the assignment in early. You'll get 10 extra points, and you'll have the opportunity of correcting any errors and working on anything that may get you a deduction. 200 points. 210 points if you turn it in Friday by 3 p.m. So thanks so much for your help, and it's been great working with you. And I hope to see you guys somewhere on campus, but I hope to really see you in Make Your Money Count, the online course. So I'm looking for questions. What's a good amount for our net worth? So Andrea, I would say a couple $1,000,000, $3 million. That's at the end of your plan. Remember, that's what's left over. So that's where estate planning comes into place. Perfect plan, you spend every penny, and you end up with 100% probability of success with $100 left over. No, that's not. Anyway, that's so I mean, there's no right answer. If you have 100,000, that's fine. If you have 1,000,000, that's fine. If you have 4 million, that's fine. If you have over 5 million, though, there's something in your plan that's just probably not realistic, and you definitely want to explain that. And mostly, you want to go do a little research about that. So. Hopefully that helps. And looking for any other questions, you're welcome. Thank you for the question. All right. So I am going to shut down the Zoom meeting, and then I'm going to shut down the broadcast. So let's see. I'm going to shut down this. If there's any questions, I'm going to wait just a minute. And if there's any questions, speak up. It is. Say that again. What was the question? Yeah, this week. It has not yet been posted, but yes, that's the assignment that we're getting ready to us post in Blackboard is the capstone. It's worth 200 points. You bet. Thank you. Any other questions? You're muted there. If you unmute yourself if you have a question. Okay. I'm going to get ready for my trip. I'm going to post this in. I'm going to post the assignment in Blackboard. And I'm going to post this video in your playlist. So I will see you. I will see you somewhere. Hopefully, I'll see you in the course. Don't forget missionalmoney.com. That's a good place to go to subscribe, enroll, and update your plan. You'll keep the same plan you have if you decide to move forward with Make Your Money Count if you enroll in that course. I also want to mention as we wrap up, your Bauer teacher evaluation is available in your Blackboard. Please do that. It's very helpful for the University of Houston, and it's helpful for me to keep my job. And for me, I want to ask if you enjoyed the course, if it was helpful, if you found it meaningful and productive. Please leave a review in ratemyprofessors.com. That's something that's helped students along the way know whether or not this is the right course for them. And so many of you told me that you did check that out before you signed up. So please pay it forward and leave your honest review in ratemyprofessors.com, as well as your Bauer teacher evaluation for me. Both of those are important for me, and I would appreciate if everyone would do that, please. Thank you very much. Have a great day.